Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to another Swedish brewery who I've never tried anything from, and this is a beer that was recommended to me yet again by one of you guys that are watching the channel. So a huge thank you to whoever it was. I do apologise because I cannot remember which one of you recommended this particular beer to me, but I put it into my Systembolaget basket and ordered it with my next lot of beer. But for this one today we are going to go to Nora, just a little bit to the north of Örebro, which is out to the west of Stockholm, and we're having a taste of my first ever beer from Apex Brewing Company. So this one is their single hop, which is a New England style IPA coming in at 6.5%. So it's hopped only with Citra, which as we know is a beautiful hop, lovely mango flavours, lychees, gooseberries, sometimes a little bit of lemon lime as well, and it uses an English ale yeast strain from what I gather actually. So this one I think might be kind of similar to the likes of Northern Monk and Cloudwater and stuff like that you're getting in the US, and it does seem to be a brewery that specialise in IPAs, so I think this one will be pretty exciting. And as well, when it comes to beers that you guys have recommended me, they always tend to be pretty bloody good actually, so very much looking forward to trying this one, and as always I hope you guys watching enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Apex Brewing Company, or ABC as they're calling themselves. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, just on to my brewery notes then. So Apex Brewing, as I mentioned to you earlier, are based in Nora, which is just a little bit to the north of Örebro, which again is out to the west of Stockholm. But this company was founded back in 2017 by Daniel Gacic and Niklas Lundgren, both of whom are actually musicians. So this is yet another one of these breweries in Sweden that seems to be popping up that are founded by quite well-known musicians. Of course, you've got Odd Island, and you've also got the Microphone Brewery in the Gothenburg region, and these guys are more towards the Stockholm region, I guess you could say. I'm not sure if they like that up in Örebro and things, but yeah, another brewery in Sweden founded by quite well-known musicians. So like I said, Niklas actually played in the band 59 Times the Pain, which is a hardcore band from what I understand, and Daniel played in the kind of punk rock band Voice of a Generation. But Daniel and Niklas are responsible for the brewing operations, but there's also a few others involved in the company. So this is Leif Karlsson, Ola Eriksson and Roger Hjalm, and they started off with a very small 500 litre brew kit with 6 fermentation vessels, and they were selling their beers in the local area, mainly in restaurants and things like that, but very recently they've got them into Systembolaget as well. But in 2018 they brewed around 35,000 litres of beer per year with about 25 different varieties. Untappd at the moment has 27 as of very early March 2019. And all of these seem to be IPAs, as I was mentioning. This is a specialist IPA brewery so far as I can gather, but they do plan to upscale their brewing to reach 100,000 litres in 2019. And hopefully we get more of their beers through Systembolaget as well. When I was recommended that I have a look at this brewery, this was the only one that was available at the time actually. I'd love to try some of their other stuff because they're playing around with some of the New Zealand hops and things like that, and of course it's quite rare to find that in Sweden. There's the Nordic Kiwi brewers who do it because they are New Zealanders, but these guys are using some of they just seem to play around with all the different hops and blend them and things like that and make IPAs and stuff like that. So yeah, a really interesting brewery, and one by the sounds of it that I need to keep an eye on going forward. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. I used beernews.sa again to get the information on this brewery, so if you're interested in keeping up to date with the breweries and stuff, that's a very good source. Of course you can check out the brewery website as well in the description below, and you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on at this brewery. But they are fairly prolific. They've produced 27 or so different types of beer in the space of about 2 years, so yeah, at least one kind of beer every one new sort of beer if you like every month. So yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself though. So when I checked this one out on the brewery website, it said this one is hopped only with Citra, as I mentioned to you earlier. It's got a malt base of Maris Otter Extra Pale, which is an English malt, dextrin, and also torrefied oats, and it uses a Cephal 04 yeast, which, if I remember correctly, is an English, British ale yeast strain. So I'm wondering if these guys are a little bit inspired by the likes of Cloudwater and stuff like that over in England, and track brewing and stuff like this, the sort of Manchester. Of course, you've got the likes of Northern Monk and Magic Rock and stuff like that producing some very good things as well, when I was reviewing those mainly for you when I was in Durham. But yeah, really interesting little brewery, this one, and let's get on to the actual tasting of the beer. Like I said, 6.5% IPA, this one, New England style IPA, single hopped with Citra. Let's get rid of the brewery notes and we'll get this guy open. So yeah, just a little bit of artwork there. Like, it's actually quite nice, this one. It's kind of, you can see it is quite sort of it's not quite psychedelic, it is quite dark, like sort of heavy metal. I'm a huge metalhead as well, if you hadn't guessed by the long hair and the beard and stuff like that. I'm very much into my kind of doom metal and folk metal and things like this. I love stuff like that, like Candlemass and all of these kind of bands are the things that I really like. I love a bit of Iron Maiden and stuff, Sabaton and things too. But yeah, really nice kind of rocky type beer, this one, 440 millilitres. As I always say, I'd never understand this, why brewers in Europe are using these 440 milliliter cans. These are based on the American pint. I think the 440 millilitres, that specific one, actually originated in the in England, if I'm remembering correctly. But a lot of breweries in Europe now seem to be copying the American pint for these New England IPAs, which, to be honest, I think silly. Just sell the cans in half litres. I say the same about Cloudwater and everyone else. So just sell the beers in half litres, as we always have done here in Europe. The Germans do that, and the Belgians sell them in the 330s normally. So I really don't get this thing about 440 millilitres. But that's not the main thing. The main thing, of course, is about the beer. It's just me nitpicking. But as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely, bright yellow colour, this one. If I hold it up to the light, most definitely a lovely bright yellow colour, solid finger of I would say quite a bumpy white head on this one, and it is perfect white. It's not even creamy or anything. That is a perfect white head on this. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. And I'll tell you straight away, when you open this beer up, you can get those lovely mango and lychee notes that you would expect of the Citra hop. I've got a feeling this one is going to be a pretty damn good beer. Spike Brewery over in Gothenburg are one that are producing a whole different variety of IPAs. West Coasters, New England's Brute IPAs. I think I've not had a black IPA from them yet, right enough. But hopefully, I think most of the IPAs that these guys are producing are the New England style. It'd be cool to see them have a go at a West Coast IPA. I really have missed the big hoppy bitterness from those beers. But yeah, this one smells absolutely lovely. Nothing, as I said, nothing overall particularly surprising about this one in terms of its appearance. This is exactly how you would expect a New England IPA to appear, but the aroma is absolutely lovely on this. It's got a lovely balance of juiciness. You can see the head has just gone down to be a little bit more kind of thin and foamy, if you like, which is quite nice rather than having a big bumpy head. But yeah, as soon as you open this beer up, you're going to smell some lovely mangoes. There's definitely a bit of lychee in there. I'm also kind of getting a bit of a kind of gooseberry. There's definitely a bit of gooseberry coming out of this one, and I think I can get a little bit of a limey quality as well. All these complexities that you can get from the Citra hop. That's one of the things about this that makes it great for a single hop beer. It's an absolutely beautiful single hop beer, this one. Obviously someone's just coming home, the dog's going a bit crazy. But yeah, so obviously with this beer, the Citra hop is just absolutely lovely on its own, and even if you mix it with things, like it can be very good with Galaxy. A lot of people are mixing Citra and Galaxy these days, and it forms beautiful combinations. Mosaic is another one. But yeah, you can smell underneath this one those lovely kind of oaty notes, but mainly it's the dextrin in this one and the oats that are kind of mixing together. It has almost like a milkshake IPA aroma. It actually reminds me a lot of the Ale Farm ones from over in Denmark, because their beers, I don't think, are actually milkshake IPAs, but in the aroma they really come across. If I was smelling this beer blind, I would probably guess that it's a milkshake IPA. Actually, I would really guess that about this one. But then it's a dextrin one, so dextrin, dextrose. It is quite similar to the likes of lactose and things. It comes across as quite similar, I think, in terms of the flavour and aroma and things like that. But you can really smell that almost milky quality to this one. But lovely kind of smooth oatiness. I think there's a little touch of biscuit in here as well. But you can smell some of that nice white sort of wheaty bready note in there as well from the Maris Otter. Maris Otter's a really interesting malt. Brewdog, I remember they used to use that when I was first getting into craft beer. Brewdog used to absolutely love using Maris Otter malt. And of course there's a whole different variety of malts come out in recent times as well. So it's kind of cool to see Apex going back and using some of these old English malts. But on the green side of things, on the green side of the hops, if you like, lovely little bit of lighter grassiness, bit of a nice floral quality too as well. Not really spicy, just a little touch of that in there, but a lovely sort of grassy note in there too. But yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck in. This one really reminds me of the Ale Farm beers with that little bit of an almost milkshakey quality to it. Also a little bit of the $10 Shake, which was a Siren beer. That was a beautiful, beautiful hazy IPA that I had when I was back home in Scotland one time. So without further ado then, let's get stuck into this beer and have a taste. This is the single hop IPA, single hop with Citra, from Apex Brewing Company in Nora near Örebro here in Sweden. Thank you again for the recommendation, whichever one of you it was. I do apologise for not being able to find the comment, but yeah, thank you for this recommendation. Let's get stuck into this beer. Slàinte, skål. Yeah. Now, that's a really damn good beer, this one. I'll just say straight away, you know, I can see why this brewery was recommended to me, and if they're producing something like this, you know, I think they've got a very kind of bright future. I would like to see them branch out. From what I heard, as I said, most of their beers are the kind of New England style, and from what I gather, this was the first one that they released through Systembolaget. I'd be very curious, to try some of their other things. This is really quite nice, actually. Yeah, and it's one of these beers that it really does, it's one that definitely keeps it simple, but it does a damn good job. So if you can craft a beer like this, you know, with a single hop and things like that, why bother going to mix, you know, to mix all these different hops and find the kind of proper blend and things of hops? If you can get Citra to behave like this, then, you know, more power to you. So huge thumbs up to Apex Brewing Company for this one. You know, they've done a damn good job of this. It actually reminds me a little bit of the Raw Power from the Abeltoft Gårdbryggeri in Denmark. You know, I tried that one maybe, when would that have been? That would have maybe been about 2 years ago, something like that now. This beer is kind of along the same lines as that. If you like that Raw Power beer from Abeltoft, then this again is one that I think you're going to really enjoy. The aroma, I was saying that the aroma really reminds me a bit of milkshake IPAs. When you actually taste this beer, it doesn't quite have the same milkshake-ish quality that you would expect from the Ale Farm ones, but the aroma is very similar. The taste, it's a little bit more like a kind of straight up New England IPA, but this is a beautiful beer. Make no mistake about that. So yeah, middle of your palate then. You can feel that it's just blanketed with that sort of light malt, that nice white bready malty quality, and that would be the Maris Otter malt just kind of filling the middle of your palate. You can feel it does get a little bit like more dry and grainy as you go on, and that's one of the characteristics I've always found with English malt in general. It does have a little bit of a grainy edge to it, but it's Maris Otter Extra Pale, which is just a nice light ale malt, if you like. It just gives you a lovely smoothness as the baseline of your beer. You can feel the kind of torrefied oats, that oaty creaminess just sitting on top of that as well. It's almost as if you've got like a kind of central ring in the middle of your palate, and you can feel that creaminess just sitting on top of it, which is very, very nice. I like how that goes together. In the very centre of your palate, there's almost just a little touch of a slightly biscuity flavour to this one as well. But the malt base, as I said, is really nicely done. You can feel the dextrose as well, just giving the beer that real kind of creaminess. The oats and the dextrose are really mixing together very well. You know, I'm saying that the milkshakey qualities don't come out in the flavour. They do to a slight degree, but it's by no means as kind of thick, and it's by no means as much as you're going to get from the likes of some of the Ale Farm beers. that you can have. But yeah, it's a very, very nice, you know, it is a really nice beer, this one, and they've done a damn good job of it. They've got a lovely kind of base to this one, which is always nice, and it does have a good bit of prominence as well. One of the things I've always said about IPAs in particular, some people were just producing IPAs that were blasting you with hops and things back in the day, but if you can get a really nice malt base to go with them, then that adds just another layer of complexity to the beer, and I think they've got that down to a T with this. So it makes me very curious to try their other beers that are blending all these different hops and things like that. Now, this is definitely a brewery to watch for the future if you like these New England style IPAs. And I mean, I've complained in some videos that there's so many people doing the New England IPAs now, and I've been missing the big West Coast hoppy bitter ones. But if you do like the style, and I do like the style, don't get me wrong with this, I just miss having the variety when it comes to IPAs these days. This is another very, very good one, so it gets a huge thumbs up from me, like I said. On the hoppy side of things then, yeah, hoppy side of things, again, it's very, very nice. You can maybe pick up a teeny little bit of earthiness in the back corners of the palate, but as you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, you can feel the more floral, aromatic aspects of this one coming out. Nice little bit of a floral, spicy quality at the front corners of the palate, then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy, and I think that works out really, really quite nicely with this one. It does have a nice little bit of hoppy bitterness there, just around the kind of front edges of the tongue, but as you expect, it's not going to blow your head off in terms of the hops because it is a New England IPA. Behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. If you just go to the back of that bubble, there's a tiny little bit of grapefruit in there, and that's one of the things you can also get from the Citra hop, depending on what you mix it with. You always get different things out of hops depending on what your malt base is, but you can pick up, there's a little bit of that very kind of dark grapefruit flavour in there. If you come in front of that, you've got the lovely sort of mango-y notes to this one, which is the kind of trademark, if you like, of Citra. Then if you just come towards the front of the tongue a little bit more, that's where you start to get the lychees coming out of this beer. The gooseberries, I was picking up the gooseberry in the aroma, but not so much in the actual flavour part of the beer. They come out nicely in the aroma, but really I think there's a kind of lemon-limey quality that just lingers into the aftertaste with this beer, and you know, it works really nicely with it actually. The lemon-limey notes are kind of mixing well with the sort of grassy and floral parts of the beer that are just lingering the further you go into the aftertaste. On the malty side of things, I'd say the aftertaste has a little bit of that. The dextrose starts to push its way out a little bit more, and you've also got some of the kind of grainy parts of the beer in there as well. But like I said, this is a very very well done New England IPA, so on the basis of this, I'd be very curious to see what these guys put out there in the future. I'd love to see them have a go at a West Coast IPA as well, but you know, if they're specialising in these New England IPAs, I'd love to try some of the other ones where they're blending the hops, because this one is a very, very kind of straight up beer. It's one of these ones that doesn't go too complex, but it's just very, very well crafted, and you know, on the basis of this beer, I think this is definitely a brewery to watch over the next little while. So if they can produce this beer after about 2 years of being in operation, that is pretty damn impressive. So definitely a brewery that you should keep an eye on. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel of this beer then, yeah, mid-bodied beer, carbonation's very smooth. I'd say overall the mouthfeel, it's got a good balance between, it does have a bit of creaminess to it, but it's also got it's got a little element of an oily quality and also a little bit of wetness in there. Malt base is mainly quite smooth. It does have a little bit of sweetness to it from the dextrose that's in there. Or the dextrin, I'm not sure exactly which is right to say, but it does have a little bit of sweetness to it as well. Particularly it gets a bit sweeter the further you get into it. Nice little touch of hoppy bitterness. I think we're talking about 30 IBUs for this one, maybe 25, somewhere in that kind of region. So by no means is this beer going to blow the head off you in terms of hops, and it's also got a lovely juicy fruity aspect to as well. But what we can say about this one is it's just a very, very well done New England IPA. If you like the Ale Farm IPAs, you're going to enjoy this one. If you like Raw Power from Abeltoft Gourd Brewery, again, you're going to like this. If you like the $10 shake from Siren, over in England as well. Again, this is one I think you are very much going to enjoy. So big thumbs up to the guys at Apex Brewing for this one, and I really do hope that I can try some of their other IPAs, but I think this is the only one that's available in Systembolaget just now, so I don't think I'm going to be able to review any other ones for you until they release them through there. But this was a great recommendation, and to whoever it was that recommended this one to me, a huge thank you. I can see why you wanted me to have a go at this beer, because it is pretty damn good, and this just speaks for the quality of beer that's available here in Sweden now. There's a huge culture of home brewing over here because of the alcohol laws being so strict, but you know, it's really paying off for them in terms of the quality of craft beer. They're getting 400 breweries at least in Sweden and counting, so yeah. So let's leave it at that for this one. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Apex or ABC, whatever you want to call these guys. This was an excellent one, and I'm very glad that I was able to review this. So thank you again for watching. Make sure you check out my social media, but most importantly, have a go at some of these Apex Brewing Company beers if you get the chance. Until the next time, Slanja just now, and I'll catch you guys later. The single hop IPA from Apex Brewing Company, ABC, in at Nora near Örebro here in Sweden. Slanja, skål.